The rain poured relentlessly over the small coastal town of Willow Creek. Inside a dimly lit diner on the corner of Main Street, the smell of burnt coffee and old grease filled the air. Behind the counter, Emma Carter, a 23-year-old waitress, stood silently wiping down tables. Her hands were rough, her shoes soaked, and her heart heavier than the tray she carried all day. Emma had worked at Marlene's diner since she was 16. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the rent for the small apartment she shared with her sick mother. Every day, she'd walk 3 miles to work, tie her faded apron, and smile at customers who barely noticed her name tag. But this morning, her smile was harder to wear. Her boss, Marlene, a sharp-tongued woman with too much perfume and too little patience, had just yelled at her again for being too slow. Emma had been late by 5 minutes, because she had to pick up her mother's medication on her way in. "Emma, I'm done with your excuses," Marlene snapped, slamming a receipt book on the counter. "You think the world cares about your problems? It doesn't. Either get your act together, or get out of my diner." Emma swallowed hard, tears threatening to spill. "I'm sorry, Marlene. Please, I really need this job." "My mom." "I don't care about your mom," Marlene interrupted coldly. "One more mistake, and you're fired." The words hit Emma like a slap. She turned away, clutching the small silver pendant around her neck, a tiny heart-shaped locket she never took off. Inside was a photo of her mother and a man she barely remembered, her father, who had died when she was just 5. That locket was her most precious possession. Her father had told her once, "If you ever lose hope, Emmy, hold this close. It'll remind you that love never leaves, it just changes form." She held it now, whispering silently, "Please, Daddy, I just need one good thing today." It was nearly closing time when the diner door opened, and the sound of expensive leather shoes echoed on the tile floor. Everyone turned. A man in his late 50s stepped in, tall and composed, wearing a dark suit that didn't belong in a place like this. His face was serious, his presence commanding, yet there was a calmness in his eyes that made people pause. It was Charles Donovan, a billionaire investor and philanthropist, though Emma had no idea who he was. He took a seat near the window, glancing at the menu briefly, before looking around the nearly empty diner. Emma walked over, clutching her notepad nervously. "Good evening, sir. What can I get for you?" He looked up at her, smiling faintly. "Just a coffee, please." Black. Something about his voice, deep, calm, almost comforting, eased her trembling hands. She poured the coffee and set it down gently. "Thank you," he said. Then, after a pause, "You look like you've had a long day." Emma forced a small laugh. "You could say that." He studied her for a moment. There was something in her tired eyes, a mixture of exhaustion, pain, and quiet strength. "I've seen that look before," he said softly. "Someone trying to hold their world together with nothing but willpower." She looked up, startled. "I guess that's pretty much it." Before he could ask more, Marlene's voice cut across the diner. "Emma, you missed table 3's refill. Do you ever do anything right?" The billionaire's eyes darkened slightly at the tone. Emma flushed red, muttering, "I'll take care of it." But before she could, Marlene stormed over. "You know what? I'm done. You were fired. Get your things and go. Right now." The words fell heavy in the room. Emma froze. "Please, I need this job." "My mom's." "I said get out." Marlene snapped, pointing toward the door. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Okay." She untied her apron, her hands shaking. The other waitress looked away. The few remaining customers watched silently, pretending not to care. As Emma turned to leave, Charles Donovan's eyes followed her. She brushed past him, and that's when he saw it. The pendant. A small heart-shaped silver locket, the same one he had given 23 years ago to a woman he once loved. His heart stopped. "Wait," he said, standing abruptly. Emma turned, startled. Where did you get that pendant?" His voice trembled slightly. She looked down, clutching it protectively. "It was my father's. He gave it to my mother, before he died." His breath caught in his throat. He stepped closer, eyes wide with disbelief. "Your father, what was his name?" "Daniel Carter," she whispered. "You knew him?" He stared at her, emotion flooding his face. "Daniel Carter was my best friend. He saved my life once. I thought his family moved away after the accident." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. "My mom said he died helping someone after a car crash. I didn't know who." He took a deep breath, voice breaking. "That someone was me." The diner fell silent. Even Marlene froze. "I was the one trapped in that car," Charles said softly. "He pulled me out before the explosion. I never saw him again. I searched for his family for years, but they were gone. And now," he looked at her pendant again, "you're his daughter." Emma's lips trembled. "You were the man my mom always talked about, the one Dad saved." He nodded slowly, his eyes glistening. Marlene, sensing the gravity of the moment, stammered, I didn't know." Charles turned to her sharply. You just fired the daughter of a man who gave his life to save mine." His voice was low, cold, powerful. Marlene's face turned pale. "Mr. Donovan, I don't," he said firmly. "You'll regret treating people like that someday." Then, turning back to Emma, his tone softened. "Emma, how much are you making here?" She hesitated. "200 a week, sometimes less." He shook his head in disbelief. "Not anymore." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I have a company in the city, Donovan Enterprises. We have a scholarship foundation and several charity branches. I want you to work for me. You'll start as my assistant, and your mother's medical expenses, they'll be fully covered." Emma gasped. "You don't have to do that." "I do," he said gently. "Because your father gave me a second chance at life. The least I can do is give his daughter one too." She broke down, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, I don't even know what to say." He smiled softly. "Say you'll keep wearing that pendant. It connects us, your father, you, and me. A reminder that one act of kindness can echo through generations." 6 months later, Emma walked into the marble lobby of Donovan Enterprises, no longer wearing a waitress uniform, but a smart suit. Her mother was recovering well, smiling again. Every morning, she passed the massive portrait hanging in the company's main hall, a painting of Daniel Carter, titled "The Man Who Saved a Life." Emma would touch her pendant, whispering, "We made it, Dad." And every time she did, Charles would watch from his office window, smiling quietly, because he knew that day in the diner wasn't a coincidence. It was destiny's way of